Eligibility, HR, and sick leave. All on today's Fednobabble.
Welcome to Fednobabble, where we make federal retirement benefits understandable for humans in under 20 minutes. I'm Cassie Knight.
And I am Kevin Jones, and we're going to take your questions that you submit online at fednobabble.com or from workshops that we do, and we're going to take those and answer them. And so, question number one today is I am 57 with 35 years FERS. Is that eligible for retirement? Cassie, what do you think?
Well, short answer is yes.
That's right.
Absolutely. So the rules for eligibility for FERS are minimum retirement age, which is between 55 and 57, depending on your year of birth. So if they're 57, that's the top end. You're good to go. You've met the age requirement, and then your years of service, obviously. So they have to be 57 with 30 years of service, or MRA with 30 years of service, 60 with 20, 62 with 5. And so clearly, this person, not sure boy or girl, but they have met their full eligibility for an immediate retirement. Whether or not that is a good idea or not, I cannot tell you, but they've definitely met the requirement for being fully eligible and to receive an immediate pension.
Now, in the webinar that I gave, I remember this question coming in, and we answered those live. And I thought, my first reaction was, I just covered this. Didn't didn't you see the chart? But then when I really started thinking about it, I have heard so many times where people come up and say, "So you had that chart, Kevin, but I heard," and right there it's like an
Okay.
okay, got it, right? I heard that
Yeah.
if you take your age and you take your years that you've worked and put them together, that determines when you are eligible to retire. And that is an old rule that is so far gone that's not even in
Yeah, that's
existence. But it's still, and that's the thing that gets me, is that it's still passed on. It's still passed on from one person to another because they think that that's the way it works. And I
hmm
think the critical piece about this is that federal employees need to understand their benefits up to date, not as they were 30
yeah.
years ago, not even as they were last year, because the rules have changed.
Yeah.
Honestly, the rules have changed from last month when it comes to Social Security, right? What you get Social Security taken out of, and now you don't. And I mean, it's incredible. So federal employees need to stay up to date, and I think that that's where these simple questions, those come in as a previous understanding of something different that they were told at the water cooler that doesn't exist anymore.
Absolutely. We love to just demystify
Yes.
those I don't know what you would call them, but just the water cooler talk, right? Like
Yeah.
let's get clear on what the rules are today. Not yesterday, not 6 months ago, not last year, not 30
Yeah.
years ago. What are the rules today? And let those rules apply to, that employee for what their situation is, whether they're FERS, CSRS, CSRS offset, FERS transfer, special provision type employee. I mean, postal employee. There's so many different types of employees, and the rules are constantly changing. I mean, military reserve technicians currently aren't able to have Tricare in retirement, and they're working on a bill to try and make that happen. And so,
Right. That
they're
may change.
constantly there's bills on the House floor or wherever, and how that process works on, they're trying to update these
Yeah.
every single day, constantly. And so, if you have a question, though, please submit it and help us um, give you clarification on what it is, on how that works. And because we really want to make sure that people understand what the rules are today and what they can and cannot do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good. Thank you. Okay, that's question number one. Question number two. My HR guy at my facility stated not to take Medicare Part B, that BCBS, Blue Cross Blue Shield, is enough. What is your opinion?
What's our
Oh.
favorite phase, Kevin?
Well, okay, before we even get there, before we even answer this question, there's a fundamental flaw in the question in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself. Whenever you hear my HR guy told me to do something, that is completely wrong in and of itself. Because and it's the same with us, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The federal employee's HR guy should never be telling any federal employee what they should do. They should only say, this is how it works. You and I will never say, you have to do this. We will only say, this is how it works and here are options. But anytime HR or OPM says, okay, you don't need to take Medicare Part B because your FEHB is enough, they have overstepped their bounds and have
Mm-hmm.
gone into some place that is, I mean, honestly, it's forbidden. So that's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
fundamental flaw.
I appreciate what he's trying to do, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
HR and all of those folks, they really do have a tough situation where they're just trying to, tell employees the best information that they have available to them. However, not always is it the best information for that employee because they don't take into consideration other aspects when it
Right.
comes to these decisions,
Right.
right? There are a lot of different factors that come into play. What is that person's health like? What is their spouse's health like if they're married, right? Do they intend to be married if they're not? Um,
Right.
right? And what does that do? I mean, did they even talk about the Part B premium
Right.
penalty? I mean, is that going to be a concern for that employee?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what are the financial implications, and do they really understand how that works if they don't take Part B?
Right. And
Because
really, to answer this, they would have to go to a financial professional who understands federal
yeah,
benefits and and meet with them and really say, okay, financially, to avoid possibly thousands of dollars in penalties or paying out for premiums or fees that you never needed, which we've seen happen all the time. How do I keep as much of my money as possible and yet at the same time have all the coverage that I need? And
mm-hmm,
so an HR
absolutely.
person cannot, and you're right, HR wants to help. I totally get it. And I really can't blame them because sometimes they're not guided as much as they should be, not only in the rules, but in what they can say and what they can't say. So I can't fault them for that. But
Right. So I'm going to say
yes,
it depends.
it depends.
That's
Yep.
a simple answer here. Because you really have to like take a look at, you know, what does that cost look like? What is the current BCBS plan that you're on? I mean,
Hmm.
what are your out-of-pocket expenses if something catastrophic happens? And what does Medicare cover, right? And how do they work together? And that really, if you guys want that information or you want to have one of our financial planners be able to answer that for you, then please let us know because we can help you get the information that you're looking for. They're going to be able to really distill down what are your benefits, what type of plan are you on, what are your other factors going on here, and really kind of guide you on whether or not this is
Yeah.
a good decision.
Yeah. What are all the options out there that you
Mhm.
don't even know or and you've never heard of before? So many different things can be done. Okay, good. Whew. All right, now that I'm calmed down from that one. Question number 3. Can I use all my sick leave before retiring? What do you think?
Hmm. Well, I don't know.
Yep, neither do I. Huh? Interesting.
Because, okay, let's be honest. This depends on the agency.
It does. Yes.
Okay. Some agencies allow employees to do this. Others are very strict on how sick leave can and cannot be used, and they may require, some sort of medical statement or medical reason or medical note that says why you need to be out that long.
Right.
Okay. And it also depends on how much leave you have,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, if you can take, every Thursday and Friday off for the next 6 months, then that might be one way to use it up. If it's not going to be enough to actually, um, you know, make a difference in your pension amount,
Right.
okay. But somebody who's got, 2,000 hours of sick leave, they may want to hold on to it because they're going to add, that much more time onto their pension. And so it really depends on, how much sick leave they have and what their agency says on how to use it.
Yeah. And it really is, I don't want to say that simple, but it almost is that simple. Um, because again, this can get a little bit more complicated, but overall,
Mhm.
that's it. I mean, there are factors of, and we talk about a lot of financial things in this podcast and rules and how it affects finances, but at the same time, we also have to remember that there's a mental and emotional impact to this as well. If
Mhm.
someone is ready to go mentally and they can't handle it anymore, then maybe they work with HR and figure out, okay, how much sick leave can I take off and what big of chunks? Can I do it in a month chunk? Can I do it in 3-day chunks or whatever that is? Or
Mhm.
maybe it's, they want more peace of mind and have a bigger pension, so they actually hold that sick leave and make their pension amount bigger. So
Right.
it's a mental game as well as a financial game at the same time.
Absolutely. And, in the reports that we prepare for federal employees, we're listing out how much of a difference your sick leave makes to your pension,
Right.
how much of a difference it makes, or how much time rather it can add to that pension amount. And so you can see, okay, I have 2 weeks and, it's not going to make that much of a difference in my pension. I should just use those 2 weeks of sick leave, right? And so, really distilling down though how that's going to affect your pension and if it's going to be something that is worth it or not, is one of the things that our trusted advisors can answer for you. So go to fednobabble.com and you can get that report. You know, or at least let us know that you're interested in our report, and then we can have one of our financial planners reach out to you and let you know, get the information that they need to build out the report. And it's very comprehensive. It includes your pension amount, sick leave, annual leave payout, all of those different things. And it's no cost, no obligation,
That's
no
right.
sales pitch at the end. So they're not going to tell you that you have to work with them or anything like that. But they simply want to be able to arm federal employees with that knowledge to be able to make the correct financial plans so that way they can gain financial success.
Yep.
That's what their goal is, and that's what our goal is too. So, also you can also submit a question at fednobabble.com, and if we use your question, we'll send you something for free.
Yep. In fact, I've got it. Hold on. Just for the fun of it.
Oh boy!
Bum, bum, bum. Look at that bad
Oh,
boy.
look at
Oh,
that!
look at that. Fednobabble t-shirt. Love it. Also, if you would subscribe, uh, what else? I mean, there's subscribe, there's follow,
Like,
there's
sure.
whatever platform you're on. Just make sure you get notifications so that when these come up, you look at them, you learn every time. We want federal employees to learn about their benefits and be armed with the information that they need to have a great retirement. So make sure you're learning, make sure you're sharing this with your coworkers, and make sure that they understand because they're retiring too and they have misconceptions of how this all works. So until next time, have a fabulous day.